In this lesson, we'll begin to build the body of our character. And now you can see that I've just replaced the blue of this character's face with just another color in here so that you get a little bit better idea of what's going on here. So now we need to go ahead and block in the body of this guy. And so I'm going to start with a primitive, but I'm not going to start with a standard primitive. Let's go to take a look at the extended primitives. And I'm going to start with a capsule. Okay, so go ahead and click on that. I'm going to go ahead and draw out that capsule. And let's go into wireframe. And I'll just draw out that capsule and give it a little bit of height. And I'm not too worried about the settings right now because we'll go in and change those. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of position that roughly into the right spot there. I also want to make sure that it is kind of right on the midline there. Okay, let me move it over just a little bit. All right. So now what we want to do is change some of the settings to get this working for us a little bit more. So I'll go ahead and turn on edged faces. I'm going to leave the sides at 12. Let's go ahead and raise that height up a little bit. Okay, so now we're looking at our side and front views to try to figure out, how big this is going to be. So obviously we need to make this a little bit, the height a little bit more. So we want this to include not only the shirt body, but all the way down to where the legs are going to connect. So we'll go ahead and continue on with that and just bring it down right about there. Okay, so now I've got some divisions on the sides. I think 12 is going to work fine for us. And I've also got some divisions along the height. I think 4 will probably work okay for us. So now what we want to do is go ahead and convert this to an editable state. So we'll go say convert to editable poly. And now I'm going to come in here and begin to shape this. So I'm going to take the bottom and just kind of move it into the correct position. And I can also come in here and scale this. So I'll scale it up a little bit. Okay, let's maybe rotate this slightly. Okay, I'll go ahead and go one row up, move this forward. And I might want to scale it down a little bit. And so I'm just going to come in from the different views and start to shape this. So from the side view, I want to create the shape. And this is the shape kind of underneath the coat here. So I'll go ahead and just kind of rotate some of these, scale them down a bit. So make them a little bit smaller than what the coat is. And this guy, I'll go ahead and scale down a little bit as well. And let's start to kind of flatten it out a little. Okay, and then we'll rotate it just slightly, kind of match that up. All right, we maybe can pull this out a little bit. And now from the front, you can see that we need to actually bring this out a little bit, and actually this as well. So we'll go ahead and kind of scale that out in the X. Same thing up here. And just create the kind of the shape that we did from the side. We'll just do the same thing from the front view. So we'll kind of pull that out and create that shape up here. And then here we want the shoulders are eventually going to come out of here. So we'll go ahead and just kind of scale that out a little. And then we maybe want to bring that in that direction so that it matches up more in the side view as well. Okay, and you can take some of these down if you want to kind of smooth this out. Take some of these vertices down here and just kind of spread them out a little bit and just start to shape this. Okay, so you can see what that looks like in the perspective view. That's starting to get where we want to go. All right, so once we've got this main sort of body shaped, I think the next thing that we want to do is maybe cut out the neck hole and match that up. So we want to have it come up and around the neck here, as you see in our artwork. So let's go ahead and cut out the area for that to occur. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. I think probably, well, I think we can go ahead and just select all of these guys in here. And all the way around here, and then we can just grow that selection. Let's go to select. There we are down here. Sometimes our rollouts will get changed around. So I'm going to go ahead and grow that selection, maybe right there, and then just delete that. And now I'll take this border edge, and I'm going to go ahead and make that more of a circle. Okay. And scale it up. And then I also want to rotate that to match up with where our neck is stopping. And I'll go ahead and pull that up. And it can look from the side to match that up a little bit better. Okay, so I can come in and change the shape of that a little bit. So I go ahead and bring that up, bring it forward, and then I can modify that kind of point by point by coming in here and changing the position of some of these points, because it's not just a straight line, it's actually kind of curving up. So I want it to follow along with that neck there. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and bring this in right about there. Maybe overlap just a little bit. Okay, and then we can take these, all of these guys, and just kind of rotate that and just smooth things out a little bit more. Okay, so you can kind of see what that's doing. It's just kind of smoothing that out. Space it out a little bit. Same thing down here until you get something that's more like that. Okay, and then we can do the same thing here in the front view. It should match up fairly closely with that. I think that's going to work for us. And we might want to just grab this guy and bring him down just a little bit. So there we've got kind of the hole for the neck. Let's go ahead and now detach the shirt and the pants. So we've got the pants, and then we've got the undershirt, and then we've got the coat. So we'll start by just taking and detaching the pants. So we need to define where that's going to end. So I think probably want the pants to end. You can kind of see the line right in there. So we can go ahead and take this line down and maybe just scale it up a little bit. Okay, we can take this line here, and so we don't have a big gap here, kind of bring that up and use this to create kind of a nice transition there, and just kind of space some of these out a little bit more. Okay, so just something like that. And then let's go ahead and add some edges in here. So we'll take those edges and we'll go to Edit Edges. Okay, and let's go ahead and connect, and we'll go ahead and add one there, and then I'm just going to pull this from the back a little bit. And we probably need to add some edges up along here as well. So let's go ahead and do that while we're here. We'll just add one right in there, and let's go ahead and add one right in there. And then we can come in and modify these a little bit, so just kind of smooth everything out. Okay, so now it's nice and even. So now we wanted to separate this or detach it. What we'll do is select those polygons, so in this case, these polygons. And if you want that transition to go straight across, then what we've got now will work. I'm going to go ahead and just modify this a little bit so that that transition where the shirt meets the pants isn't completely straight, but is more of a kind of a curve there. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and select those polygons. Go to select mode here with Q. Make sure you get all of the polygons down to the bottom. Okay, so now we have those selected. We want to go to Edit Geometry and Detach. Okay, and that'll ask us, do we want to detach it to an element, which will leave it in the same editable poly? Do we want to detach it as a clone, which would just leave this and make a copy of this? Or do we want to just detach it and then name it something else? So we can call this pants, and we'll say OK. And now you can see it's no longer part of that editable poly. It's now its own editable poly. And this is going to be the start of our pants, and this will be the start of our shirt. All right. So we now need to use this shirt as a base for our coat. Okay, so we also have the coat. So what we're going to do is just hold down R. I'm going to go to the Hierarchy panel, Effect Pivot Only, and Center to Object. So I'll center that pivot to the object, and then I'll hold down Shift and just scale this out just a little bit. Okay, and you can see what that's doing in here. And then you can choose to have a copy instance or a reference in the number of copies. I just need one copy. So I'll say OK to that. And let's go ahead and give this kind of a different color for now. kind of a blue color, and we can call this jacket. Okay. And so we really need to work on the shirt right now. So if I right click on this, I go ahead and hide selected. And now we just have the shirt back. So what we want to do now is add the collar to this shirt. So real quickly, I'm going to come in and grab the border edge here. Kind of zoom extents on that. And let's go ahead, go to move, and let's just hold down shift and move this up a little bit to create kind of a collar there. Let's go ahead and go to scale, hold down shift, and pull that in. Okay, go back to move, hold down shift, and pull that down. Okay, and now we just need to add some edges so that when we smooth this, it comes out nicely. So I want to go ahead and go to select the ring, and then using connect, I'm going to add a couple of lines all at once. So we want to go to our edit edges, which is up here now. And this time I'm going to have two segments, and instead of using slide, I'm going to use pinch and just pull those out. Say OK to that. Okay, up here I want to add maybe one. So I want to go ahead and select the ring, and again do connect, this time with 1, 0 on the pinch, and just slide that, and I can maybe move it up a little bit. Okay, let's do one more on the inside here, inside of this collar, and we'll look at what this is going to look like when we smooth it here in a minute. But I just want to get in there and select this edge right in there. Then we'll go ahead and select the ring, do connect, and let's slide that up to the top a little bit closer. Okay, and now I want to get a little bit of a seam in here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this edge right here, go ahead and select the loop. So select the entire loop. Okay, and let's go ahead and do an extrude on this under edit edges. We'll just extrude that. Take the extrusion down to something negative, and let's decrease the extrusion base width. Okay, and then decrease the extrusion height closer to 0. Okay, and then decrease that extrusion width. And that should give you something like that, so that when we now smooth this, you should get kind of a seam there. Okay, and once you smooth it, you can come in and now modify that a little bit more. You can kind of see, that the collar in the back isn't matching up very well, so we can come in and just grab those points and move them in. So let me just go ahead and grab several of these at one time. And we can just move those in so that they're nice and flush with the neck. You want to have a nice tight seal there. So just move your way around and just kind of flush those up with the rest of the neck. Okay, so come in and do that. And just kind of move these in. Okay, go around and do that. The next thing that we want to do is the transition with the shirt and the pants. So I'm going to go ahead and just smooth the pants for now. And I want to concentrate here on the shirt. I just want to have a little bit better of a transition here than what exists right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take these edges, go ahead and do a ring selection, and let's add an edge right down here. Okay, let's actually add a couple. Let's go ahead and pinch those together and move them down kind of right about here. Say OK to that. Let's go ahead and select the border now, and I just want to create a little bit of a billow where the shirt meets the pants, right? So go ahead and take that, and now when I smooth this, I've scaled that in, you get a little bit of a billow there. The problem is it's not penetrating into the, or the pants aren't kind of penetrating into it. So I'll go ahead and take this and just move it down, and let's just scale it out just a little bit. Okay, so that looks a lot better than just two straight edges just intersecting one another. And you can change the color of this to kind of see this a little bit better. Is maybe a little bit too drastic, but you kind of get the idea here. So I just want that to kind of penetrate down, and it gives you the idea of maybe a shirt tucked in or so, and you can exaggerate that even more if you can take this edge and select the entire loop and just scale that out a little bit. You can exaggerate that a little bit more. And then you get something like that, which looks, again, a lot nicer than if this geometry was just butted up against the shirt. Okay? All right, so now that we've got the kind of inner shirt, you'll notice he has no arms, and that's because the arms are going to be built into the jacket. We don't need to build the arms into the undershirt at all because it's going to be covered up. So the next thing that we're going to do is move down, and I think we're going to start on the legs. So we'll build a leg and actually attach it to this base of the pelvis that we've built here. And then we'll get into the arms and attaching that to the coat and so forth. So we've got a nice base built in for the body. Let's go ahead and continue working on it in the next lesson.